felt like Men's Fashion Week has been slowly becoming less and less influential as the years go by. Such a heavy focus on entry-level brands and streetwear, popularized mainly by TikTok trends and social media as a whole, you can understand why it's not being quite as impactful. However, SS26 in my eyes appears to be a big shift for menswear. Positive change, pulling attention back to what is truly the main stage when it comes to men's fashion. But what made this year so special? Let me run you through the best bits. Hey guys, I'm Henry and this is The Lowdown, where I talk about everything and anything fashion related. If you're new around here, make sure to subscribe to stick around for future content, and whilst you're there, drop a like, it helps me out a great deal. J.LAL is the first brand I want to talk about, and whilst it may be the youngest out of this bunch, it is still in my opinion one of the most exciting brands out there right now. John Luke, the designer behind the brand, really kickstarted his career, being swept up in the Gorpcore trend during the COVID years, which was coincidentally during his last few years studying at Central St. Martin's. But despite this, the brand has not been regimented in its positioning because of that, crafting a signature aesthetic that makes it stand above the rest. The brand sticks true to its technical roots through and through. I love the fabrication choices throughout all their collections, not just this SS26 show. But overall, I definitely felt this SS26 season was one where they took things up a notch, leveled up, so to speak. First and foremost, I have to draw your attention to the belt and accessories they crafted. I have no idea what material fabric this is, but the wood imitation is uncanny and so impressive. I really want to see it in person to really understand what it even is and how they've done it. I also feel like accessories are such, I guess, an untapped market within menswear right now. A lot of streetwear brands have been capitalizing on this, doing their own take on the ever-popular Manhattan belts over in the US that seem to have taken over the hip-hop and rap scene over there. And because of being so untapped, there's so much opportunities lying within that category too, for unique takes on belts and bracelets, such as these ones from J.LAL. Additionally, the full head-to-toe looks that the brand can now craft with their entry into the footwear market really adds to its capabilities, an all-encompassing brand. For reference, just look at the combination of these shorts, the shoes, their take on a V-neck sweater, and the accessories that we touched on earlier. So good. I think it would also be rude of me not to talk about their leather pieces and their leather work also. For SS25, I was really drawn towards their leather Eon jacket. It was everything I'd want in an everyday jacket to throw on and defend me against the elements when it comes to autumn winter time. This season creation for SS26 is even more impressive than that. Perforation across the jacket was what really caught my eye at first. One thing I'm sure a lot of us have all battled with is trying to wear leather in those warmer months and ending up drenched, not because of the rain. So this definitely makes it more seasonally appropriate in those regards. But also the incorporating belt to match and that figure-hugging neckline really makes it stand out as a real statement piece within the collection. I think J.LAL all in all is a brand which I'm constantly keeping my tabs on. Seemingly everything they do right now is exciting, progressive, and interesting in what to me is a largely quite mundane space within the menswear category right now. It's not often you see a brand that has been heavily supported by a big trend such as Gorpcore not only break away from it successfully, but move forward time and time again to make that part of their story, but not all their story. Hed Mayner is another brand that, before doing my research today, I thought it was nearly as young as J.LAL. However, Hed founded his brand back in 2015 in Tel Aviv. It's been around for almost a decade. Come to think of it, 10 years really isn't that long, however, so it's definitely still in its infancy. But that shouldn't hinder the brand in any way. I more want to touch on Hed Mayner for the way it's, in some ways similar to J.LAL, managed to shift with the times in what everyone could agree is a tricky period for the fashion industry as a whole. The main reason I got drawn to the brand in the first place and what the brand used to be gave me that enjoyable flashback to the oversized dadcore or office-core aesthetic of Balenciaga circa 2016-2017 when Devner was really cooking over there, which I actually think was definitely my favorite fashion era in recent times. The exaggerated shoulders, oversized knee-length fits just really hit those nostalgic buttons for me. But actually the Spring-Summer 2026 collection is a healthy change and step away from that core design language of the brand. Don't get me wrong, the exaggerated silhouettes and big proportions are still ever present across the look, but it's in a more subdued, refined, and almost polite way. This, in my opinion, then allows the fabric choices to do more of the talking and really show what the designer can do and their skill. Case in point, this draped scarf shawl is a prime example of it, tying in the suited look perfectly in a very unique execution. And I also found the outerwear appeared far more elegant than those in the runways before it. The added draw cords in this deep navy option helps play with the shape and silhouette, which otherwise is quite a plain rain jacket, really. The summer suit-in looks were my absolute favourites though. The combination of that insanely flowy fabric, draping to perfection across the jackets and shorts, allowed the clothes themselves to take center stage. And I guess on that point, it's what the brand's really about, executing wardrobe staples in different, more complex ways that add a whole lot more to the look or piece. By stepping in some regards out of the shadows of a previous trend and into one of their own, Hed Mayner can craft a story that only it can embody, aside from any imitations or mimicry. Speaking of stories, the appointment of Jonathan Anderson at Dior has to be the biggest talking point heading into men's Paris Fashion Week. Arguably one of the hottest designers across both men's and women's wear, Jonathan came into the show with high expectations for sure, but also a very loud buzz and overall excitement around him finally showing what he'd been working on since he was announced as the new man of the house in April. One part of JW's skill set that I love has to be his ambition to craft an ever-growing world around his brands and collections, aside from just the runways and the clothes. It was an ever-present part of his time at Loewe, bringing you into that Loewe world that he built himself, really bringing you into the shows, seeing the run-up, making it, I guess, more of a spectacle rather than just a quick 10-20 minute rundown of what he's bringing out. This has gladly been brought straight into the mix at Dior, with an evident theme of nonchalance running through the pre-show antics. Following the likes of Robert Patterson, Josh O'Connor and Lakeith Stanfield as they get ready and travel for the show, I started to feel as if they actually couldn't be bothered. Collar not folded correctly, tie not properly done up, too cool to care. But this too cool for school aesthetic continued into the show, with slight imperfections across each and every look. One pant cuff rolled and the other not, shoelaces untied, single sleeve rolled up. I actually found it was almost as if Jonathan and Dior are saying to us, yeah, we know our power and influence, so we will flip the script on what is considered the finished and fully polished product and give you this. Parisian flair was very visible across the outfits too, with fabric bows wrapped around the necks of the models, reminiscent of the Renaissance era in my opinion. And speaking of that, the way JW has managed to seamlessly blend casual and formal is very refreshing and new to me. The combination of the blazers with denim, waistcoat vests with oversized jeans, it's just something I don't feel like I've seen before, or seen executed so well at least. I have to admit my favourite piece of the collection was these parachute shorts. I love the business in the front, party in the back nature of them. But actually, upon deeper research after the show, it turns out these are a nod back to the 1948 Delft dress, which only adds to the appreciation I have for them. Not only is Jonathan looking back at pivotal moments in Dior's history and paying homage, but putting a new twist to them. So it's something refreshing without only being about the past. The overall discourse around the show from many was that it was much of what we've come to expect from Jonathan, whether that is at Loewe or his own label. But for me, he always levels up season on season, and this Dior show did not stray away from that. He welcomed a new era of prep and a new era of Dior, who personally have been struggling for years whilst Kim Jones was in charge of menswear there. I don't even think it's comparable when looking at Kim Jones Dior versus JW Dior, even after one show. They're leagues apart. So different. Suddenly I found myself wanting Dior pieces after this show, wanting to be part of this new story, and seeing power in the Dior logo and branding again. And that's what I feel a powerful creative director appointment can do, instantly shifting the momentum and the opinion around the brand, putting you back in the driver's seat. For any seasoned viewers of the channel, you already know if there's a reason for me to talk about Kiko, I'm gonna do it. And arguably there's no better reason to talk about my favorite designer than for the SS26 show. When asked personally about the collection, Kiko himself proclaimed it's the closest example that we will get to true day-to-day wear for the brand, which I find funny to see the development of the brand, as famously in the past he stated that he doesn't design to sell. So maybe after all these years, he's had to catch up with the time and struggles to running a business. But the runway itself this season was crafted around a day in the life of a man on an island, with each look within the show representing a different hour on the clock. Therefore, it truly is day wear, just through the lens of Kiko on this island. As we've come to expect from Kiko collections, prints were plentiful, tying in that island aesthetic through fabrics such as this shell-like repeat number. The weird and wonderful has always been at the heart of the brand's identity too. So the pairing of these prints with another example of the Asics tabby they teased last season, and flip-flops with bold socks across many looks, really encapsulates that feeling. Asymmetry is another key part of the Kiko story, with experimental necklines and unconventional zips echoing this message to great effect in the runway. Personally, however, the suited look was my favourite overall. Something clean and concise, yet still very Kiko coded. And the distressed knee paneling showcased in this red two-piece and the alternative beige colourway is something I would love to add to my collection. Just an everyday staple with a little added flair. For me, this collection really echoed the shifting times in the fashion market. We know how difficult trade is now, and with Kiko prices seemingly climbing season on season, it's important to, I guess, understand an element of wearability across a show will always lead to more sales in the long run. Was it his best work? Probably not. But that doesn't make it bad by any means. Kiko himself said he's not scared to, quote-unquote, make a bad collection, as it's all subjective, and that's what fashion is all about, opinions on clothes. And his track record only shows that sometimes the collections that received the most criticism actually ended up being appreciated more and more as time went on. Last but definitely not least, we have to talk about Willy Chavarria. His name is on everyone's lips, with his debut at Paris Fashion Week last season cementing his place within the list of brands bursting onto the scene, and ultimately taking over. The SS26 collection was another development of a striking, elegant style now synonymous with the designer. In a world where many brands seem to look oh so similar, Willy Chavarria is one which can be spotted from a mile away, and the levels to which the designer has crafted an in-depth and all-encompassing label is truly commendable. Whilst menswear is at the heart of the brand, the support in women's wear is just as impressive and important in the brand's overall story. Bold looks mixing heritage and flair effortlessly. The brand is not limited in its execution either, mixing strong suited looks, pops of colour, juxtaposed with aggressive and tough layered leather look. I really can't get this outfit out of my head ever since seeing it. It's so good. Bold blue pants with that leather jacket and the hood underneath it. Amazing. However, definitely the most impressive and important part of the show was the powerful protest against the ICE attacks, with models walking down the runway in all white, kneeling in positions similar to that recorded of migrants being sent to the facilities in El Salvador, echoing the anti-humanitarian crimes being committed. Chavarria has created a platform not only for his designs, but for the embodiment of his brand, with every message and showcase having meaning and depth. This creates a remarkable story to be part of, a collective force fighting for what's right and for the values the designer holds close to his heart. Ultimately, the brand has unified the masses through clothing, and with so many atrocities being committed across the globe, now is the time more so than ever to utilize your platform to make a positive change. Yet many prefer to turn a blind eye to it all. So, what does this all mean for menswear? I think, in my eyes, it really solidifies storytelling, story building, and a key way to have success within the market right now. We spoke about J.LAL standing out from the crowd, building on something that was part of their story initially and now becoming something much more than that. We talk about Hed Mayner redirecting their story almost, taking a different approach to build on what they'd built before. We then touched on a new story in the market, JW and Dior, partnership which everyone's so excited about and seems poised to be successful. And then we speak about Kiko Kostadinov maybe having a slightly different story, being one of which was around obscurity and weirdness in menswear, now being a little more refined, but ultimately having a unique story which has got so much attention for sticking true to their roots for so long. And then Willy Chavarria is more about an all-encompassing story, everything around the brand, taking on board the stories of the outside world, taking on board the political stories, taking on board the stories of the designer himself and championing them through his clothing and through his brand. So I guess we're all part of a menswear story right now, and it's shifting and changing in a positive way for me. And that's what's important. Being able to now have these allegiances to brands which have stories that embody what you are about and your own story is more important and more progressive and impressive than ever before. In a world that went so minimal so quickly, this is a real maximalist take, not just championed through the clothing, but a real, I guess, head turn in how you position yourself with the brands that you wear and love. And I think fashion has always been about storytelling. Maybe we just stepped aside from that to buy into the row and the minimal trends. That's everything for me today though, guys. I hope you enjoyed this rundown of everything that I think you should care about that happened at Men's Paris Fashion Week. Hopefully this new setup is enjoyable too. I'm testing out some different camera settings, some different layouts and whatnot, so let me know what you think about it in the comments, and equally let me know what your favourite moment from Men's Paris Fashion Week was down there too. I love to hear your opinions across all of my videos. But yeah, once again, guys, that's all from me, and I'll catch you in the next video.